All through my 20s, I had this crazy dream where someone or something would be chasing me and chasing me unrelentingly. And I'd be there running and running and running, pumping my arms up and down, trying to get away, but feeling unable to escape whatever this thing or person was that was pursuing me. And as I began to lose momentum, it or he would gain momentum, and I get even more frightened. But the more frightened, the tighter my lips were pressed closed. I would breathe only through my nostrils because I knew that if I kept my lips pressed closed, I'd not be able to scream. I didn't want to scream because I thought not a single other soul would hear me, except perhaps the one who was chasing me. And I always thought, I need to save my voice for my last hurrah. I can't waste it right now. I need to save it. Then I'd realize this was my last hurrah. And I needed to do something quickly. And right about then in the dream, I would see off in the distance a payphone. And I'd start thinking, maybe I can call for help. Maybe there's someone I can call who can get me out of this great big mess that I'm in. And as I'm approaching the payphone, I start digging around in my pocket for a quarter. Finally, I'd get a quarter. And I'd reach my hand up to the payphone to put the quarter in the coin slot. And it would not fit. And I try and try and try again, and that quarter would not fit in the coin slot of the payphone. So I'd not get to make my call, and ultimately my voice would not be heard. Boy, what a nightmare. Now think about this just for a second. Why would I run and run and run without ever thinking that someone could hear me scream? Why would I think that not one single other soul would hear me scream? Why would I risk my life today for something tomorrow that might not ever happen? And why, of all things, would I let my voice be the last weapon from my arsenal that I would consider? Why is that? It's just like an old African proverb that a friend of mine shared with me. If the lion doesn't share his story, the hunter will. So just picture yourself. Imagine watching a lion face to face with a hunter who's got a loaded rifle, cocked and aimed, all ready for him. Now the lion has two choices, doesn't he? He can stand still and keep silent, or he can roar. Now, if he stands still, he's likely to meet the fate of every other lion in the jungle who has ever been face to face with a hunter carrying a loaded rifle, cocked, aimed, and ready to go. That hunter has no other interest in him except to shoot him dead, to stuff his carcass, and hang it on a wall in his den, and perhaps make sporty conversation with men wearing ascots and smoking pipes. Oh, but if he roars, if that lion chooses to do what lions are designed to do, to roar, who knows what might happen? He might cause that hunter to pause. He may cause him to shake that rifle from his hands, and he might just cause every other lion in his surroundings to hear him and to be emboldened and to decide that he will also roar because he needs to roar. Who knows how many lives that lion will change if he simply chooses to roar. And in so doing, he will have shared a much deeper, much more pertinent, much more relevant story about himself than the hunter who does not even know him could possibly ever share, and certainly more than that taxidermied head hanging on the hunter's wall. So don't let your dream, your story die inside of you without ever having told it. Don't ever leave it for someone else to tell as best they can based on what they knew. Psalm 107:2 says this, "Let the redeemed of the Lord tell their story." That means you. I'm Sherry Boykin.